On this page, there's just a whole lot of examples. I'm going to go ahead and make a video of all these, and then you can kind of fast forward if there's any of these that you have trouble with, but you should try to fill these out without looking at the video. So number one, what power do I raise 5 to get 125? That would be 5 cubed. So that's going to be a 3 there. The next one, I'm going to go fast. What power do I raise 4 to get 64? And that's going to be 4 cubed. What power do I raise 3 to get 81? That's going to be a 4. And now this one, number 4, is a little more difficult. 32 to what power is 2? Well, obviously, it's not going to be to an integer power. It's going to have to be you're going to have to take a root of it. So if you think about it, okay, 32 to what power equals 2? Well, what root would I have to take? Well, we know that 2 to the 5th is 32, so I'm going to take 32 to the 1/5 is going to be 2. In other words, the 5th root of 32 would be 2. The next one is log base 8 of 2. Again, what power do I raise 8 to get 2? Well, since 2 cubed is 8, I would have to take the cube root of 8, or 8 to the 1/3, would equal 2. And then log base 100 is 10. I can't raise 100 to a power to get 10 as far as an integer power, so I have to take a root of it. And in this case, the square root of 100 is 10, so 100 would be raised to the 1/2 power to get 10. All right, and then now we got 4 to what power equals 1/16? Well, 4 squared is 16, so it'll be 4 to the -2, because 4 to the -2 means 1 over 4 squared, and that'll be 1/16. So anytime you have a integer number bigger than 1, like that 4, you're going to raise it. If it's going to be a fraction less than 1, like 1/16, you have to raise it to a negative power. So the next one, number 8, is 3 cubed is 27, so it'll be -3 to make it 1 over 27. All right, and then number 9, 7 to the -1 would be 1/7. Now 10 to what power is 1/100th? Well, instead of writing as a decimal, it might be easier to say 10 to what power is equal to 1 over 100. Well, 10 squared is 100, so it's going to be -2 to make it 1 over 100. And then this is log base 10 here on number 11. So 10 to what power is 1/10? 10 to the -1 would equal 1/10, or 0.1. And then the log of 1,000 is simply 3, because 10 cubed is 1,000. The log base 1/4 of 64. Well, we know when we raise 1/4 to a power, like 2, it's going to be 1/16. 3 would be 1/64. So to flip that over, it needs to be a -3. Again, same thing with this. 2/3. 2/3 cubed would be 8 over 27. And since I want to, that's going to be 8 over 27. Since I want to flip it and make it 27 over 8, then it needs to be a -3. And again, 2 to the 4th is 16, so 1/2 to the -4th would be 16, because 1/2 to a negative power would be 2. So to the -4th, that's going to give you 16. Number 16 is 2 to what power is 25/100. Now that's a little tough. 2 to what power is 25/100? So 2 to what power is 25/100? Well, 25/100 reduces to what? Well, that reduces to 1/4. And of course, now 2 squared is 4. So it'll be 2 to the -2. Log base 64 is 8. The square root of 64 is 8. So it'll be to the 1/2 power. Now, number 18, we get into some real fun. So the log base 4 of 8. 4 to what power is equal to 8? There's 2 ways you can figure this out. You can know that both of these are powers of 2. So 4 is 2 squared, and 8 is 2 cubed. So 2 squared to what power x would equal 2 cubed? That means 2 to the 2x has to equal 2 to the 3rd. And the only way that can be true is if 2x is equal to 3, or x is equal to 3/2. For many years, that's how I did that problem. But then later on, I just started saying, okay, look, 4 has to be broken down to a 2, so I'll raise that to the 1/2 power to give me a 2, and then I'll cube it to give me an 8, so that'll be 4 to the 3/2, which means, of course, it's 3/2. But my favorite way of showing how to do this problem is to use what we talked about a little bit ago, and that's the change of base. So if you were on a calculator and you were asked to find the log base 4 of 8, and from what we just learned on our calculator, you would type in that the log base 4 of 8 was equal to the ln of 8 divided by the ln of 4, but we also knew that you could take the log of 8 divided by the log of 4. Well, I got even better news. The log base 4 of 8, you can take the log of any base to do the change of base. And since both of these are powers of 2, I'll do the log base 2 of 8 over the log base 2 of 4. And the log base 2 of 8 is 3. The log base 2 of 4 is 2. And that gives me my answer of 3/2. This is absolutely my most favorite way to do those kind of problems because it's just, really slick. But you can do it any way you want. A lot of times I do it this way too. I rarely do it this first way that I showed you. I used to do that when I first started teaching, but I've kind of evolved out of that. I went to this. And so I'll either use this or this one to do a problem like that. And that's the same thing with number 19. On number 19, we're running out of room down here to do this work, but on 19, those are both powers of 3, 243 and 27. Those are both powers of 3. And so I will say that's the log base 3 of 1 over 243 over the log base 3 of 27. Now remember, 3 to the 4th is 81, and 3 to the 5th is 243. So the top's going to be a -5, and the bottom is going to be 3, so that is going to be -5/3. The next one, log base 32 of 4, that would be the log base 2 of 4 over the log base 2 of 32. And that's going to be 2 on the top, and it's going to be 5 on the bottom, so it'll be 2/5. Number 21, and I'm going to have to do some erasing here because I am running out of room. So let's just kind of erase all this stuff on the bottom. Give myself a little bit more room here. I'll erase this side here too as well. And so now you can go back if you want to look at that again on the video. So number 21, log base 9 of 243. Those are both powers of 3. So I will do the log base 3 of 243 divided by the log base 3 of 9. Of course, the log base 3 of 243, again, 3 to the 4th is 81, times 1 more 3 would be 243, so that's going to be, that'll be 5, and then the log base 3 of, that's supposed to be a 9, that's going to be 2, so it's 5/2. 22 is the natural log of the square root of e, which is really the natural log of e to the 1/2. So what that's really asking you is e to what power equals e to the 1/2, and of course, who's buried in Grant's tomb? None other than 1/2. ln of e to the 3rd is, or is that a 5? Man, that's a 5, isn't it? Yeah. So I can't see very good here. It's late at night. My contacts are getting blurry. All right, so that's a 5. What power do I raise e to get e to the 5th? Another who's buried in Grant's tomb question. The last one is the ln of the square root of e to the 5th. So that would be e to the 5/2, but it would be -5/2 because it's 1 over. E to the 5/2 would be the square root of e to the 5th. Since it's 1 over, that's where we get their negative exponent. And again, my answer is going to be -5/2 because what power do I raise e to get e to the -5/2? Again, obviously -5/2.